Hey everybody, here's the new rack and pinion unit. I don't know if y'all recall, I was talking about the lack of support in the driver's side end of where it was giving me so much motion. So there's no bushing. I don't know if you remember, but it's in the previous video. Anyways, I got a bushing that goes in the other end, and it's retained with a little clip. But anyways, this is the bushing that Honda sells. Now it's a real loose fit right here. There's still lots of clearance around that bushing, and there's nothing to retain it. So anyways, what I got to do is I'll probably just put it in there with some Loctite stud and bearing mount or something, an epoxy maybe a little thicker, but then I'll just use set screws to retain it in place once I get the depth right, because it actually needs to go a little deeper than that. But first I got to clean all the grease and stuff out of the housing. But that's what I'm talking about when I said I was going to add some support to this end of the rack and pinion. Alright, we're back. I did get the bushing in the end of this new steering rack. There's set screw on the other side. Putting this thing in was more than a notion. The rack, when it comes through, is actually not centered in the bore. So anyways, I had to put an O-ring. I found a big thick O-ring and used it on the end of the rack, brought it up and got the bushing centered on that, pushed onto it and centered, and then I packed epoxy around it, like packing a wheel bearing, until it squished out the top, and made sure it was all the way around the thing. Let it set overnight, and then I don't know if it'll show up or not, but I actually bored through the bushing and tapped the whole thing, and then cut the screws so they just make it into the bushing and not protrude through, obviously. But yeah, this was not an easy project. Oh well, that's just me. I'm so hard-headed I gotta do everything the hard way. Anyways, it's got a bushing in it now. Let me wind this thing out. So that's it. I mean, it fits perfectly. I had to dress the bushing just a little bit, and because it was hitting a little hard on one side of it, but it's in there. This rack now has support on the driver's side end, so hopefully that'll keep this thing alive a little longer through the abuse I give it. Here's the old one. I just got the tie rod end off of the passenger side end of the rack. Now I've cleaned this thing up externally, anyways. Look at this is what was inside of it. It's just full of sand and greasy mud. And I'm going to go ahead and pull the boot off this end so I can clean this all up. Same with the other one. I've got a new tie rod end for this end, and that's where I'm at right now. It's got to pull the boots off, pull the both tie rods out, clean them thoroughly, and re-grease it and install it on the new rack, and then it's going to be ready to go back in the machine. Hey, I just wanted to give you a side-by-side comparison of the two racks. The new one on the right, where I've put the bushing in. Sorry about the lighting. So anyways, yeah, you can see the space around that thing, and now with the bushing in it, much better support out at the end versus, well, none. So that I just wanted to show you all that. It's side by side. You can see the difference much better. So anyways, continuing on with the repair. All right, the rack is ready to go back on the machine. Just wanted to show you all something real quick. On this end, I used a special heavy-duty zip tie that is designed for going around rubber boots and things just like this. Here's one sitting on the bench. I don't know if we can see. It's got a curve built into the end of it, and they're extra heavy, and you use a tool to pull them tight. And anyways, they're used on OEM uses them on fuel lines and cooling system hoses and things like that. Should work, shouldn't be an issue at all on something like this with no pressure. So anyways, I doubled them up just to make sure, and it's squeezing it hard. I mean, it's squishing the rubber out the sides, so no doubt about that. And I used a regular O-Tiker clamp on this end. Otherwise, this thing's ready to go back in. Now I'm just going to go do the welding on the machine on the rear mounts, and hopefully have this thing back in here shortly.